Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to start installing the rubber roof. First thing I need to do is make the penetrations for the scuppers. I have it all laid out. I have my design up there. So what I have to do, I have a template. So I need to put the template up against the wall, then use the oscillating tool to, it'll ride on top of the template and plunge through the wall. And then I'll have to take a knife and cut through the foam. First, I will remove these cleats. These are just temporary until the glue dries on the foam, and the glue's been dry for a day now. So I'll just remove the cleats in the area where I'm going to be working. I don't really have time to take them all off right now. There's no need. So one will poke through right around center, which should be right about the middle of this area right here. And then the other two are 24 inches on center in from the studs. So I'll have to measure that all out. And then once those are in, the actual roof can start going on. We had so much issues with, this is a reinforcing strip, and they want this on RoofKit. Got this at Menards. They want this on, so many hornets around. They want this on if your roof changes from horizontal to vertical, which means, going up a wall. They want this going around the edge. So we called them, the kit for screwing this down has these monstrous 3-inch screws, and that's so they can reach through like 2-inch insulation if you have 2-inch insulation on your roof. We don't have that. We're going directly to OSB. So these things would stick way the hell into the cavity here, and we need to put foam up against the underside of the roof. We're going to use rigid XPS, so then we got to deal with all these damn screws. So we called RoofKit and asked them if we need this, if we're not putting down foam, if we can just glue this strip down. And he says, oh yeah, you glue the strip down if you're not using foam, which was a relief, because then we wouldn't have to deal with these when we do the interior stuff. But I was thinking about it over the weekend while I was sanding up there, which is yesterday's video, and this stuff would be very hard to put on using adhesive if you do it contact adhesive method, applying adhesive to both the rubber and the roof, and when it's just a touch tacky but not stringy, blah blah blah, then you roll it out. Because how the hell do you do that with something in a roll like this without doing a little bit at a time? So I called this morning to see if I could put this on using the latex adhesive using the wet method like you do with the rubber. And he says, oh no, you got to screw that on regardless of the substrate. So they gave us two different answers. Cindy's not here right now. I'd like to get the name. The guy I talked to was Doug, but I'd like the name of the guy that she talked to who gave the wrong instructions, because we almost put it on like that. Today's a day, but if I would have did this yesterday on Sunday, they weren't open, and I would have just said, well, I'll just do it, whatever way. So luckily I got that information. We are going to have to deal with these big honking screws. What I hope to do is I'm going to start screwing them. They want them every 12 inches. And this again was from the guy we talked to earlier, the first call. So I'm going to call again. I'm going to have Cindy call again and find out if that's true, that it's every 12 inches, because they have little bullseyes on this reinforcing strip every 6 inches. So, it kind of makes you think that they want it every 6 inches, but it doesn't look like it in the installation video. It looks like they're doing it every 12 inches. And I don't know if you can even see these little tick marks in the installation video. I'll have to go look at it again before I start. So if it is indeed 12 inches, like the first guy said, when I start going, I'll get one into a truss, like right here. Then the next one will fall in here, the next one will fall in here, and then the next one will go into a truss again. So at least some of them will go into trusses. So that's the deal, and they have to miss this. I can't have washers underneath this. They don't have instructions on installing scuppers, but several other roofing manufacturers do have instructions. And what you do is you put the rubber on first, then you have the hole cut for the scupper, then you open up that hole, cut a flap, push it down, slide the scupper in, screw it down, fasten it. They fasten it several different ways. I'm going to be using copper nails because this is copper. Fasten it down, and then you put your flashing cover, whatever you use for flashing cover. So you got to prime this and do other stuff and put strips going this way and then strips going this way, and you prime each other and blah blah blah. But anyways, I don't want the washers right underneath the scuppers. I want them to land one on either side. So it's going to get kind of confusing on this side. We got 3 scuppers, and I'd like them to land right into the trusses, and lots of issues with this side. The other sides are a lot more straightforward. This side here, they're all going to poke through right in here somewhere, so I'll go around with the angle grinder and cut them off. I'll do the same for these too, and this is the same as that roughly. So in the end it's going to be a bit more work, but this will actually take less time screwing them down than gluing them down, especially if I had to do 2-part with contact adhesive type gluing. So I have a bunch of stuff going on with the day job today, so I have to have a phone with me for people possibly contacting me. So hopefully Cindy gets back soon. Natalie had a foot injury from, it looks like she got stung on her foot, and Cindy's out dealing with that, so hopefully she gets back in time so I can start on the main rubber on the roof, which I'm hoping to get at least 1 layer of rubber on by this evening, but who knows? This, I've never done it before, so I have no real idea. So let's get started with the RoofKit rubber roof. So I laid out my scupper locations. I mean, I've seen roofs on videos. I've been watching a lot of flat roof videos lately. I've seen roofs probably this size or larger with a single scupper on it. I'm going to put 3 on there. We don't really have any trees that will drop leaves onto it, but yet it still gets leaves. They'll blow from those trees over there, which are actually coming out. But at some point, this oak is gonna start dropping leaves on here. So you really don't want these scuppers blocking up with leaves. They recommend having an overflow tube, but I'm not gonna put that in. I'm gonna have 3 scuppers instead of just 1, and those are gonna go into a copper gutter at some point. I believe that's gonna be sufficient, but time will tell. This will have a deck over it at some point too, so leaves are not going to get through the deck very easy. You know, it's going to have 1/4-inch gaps, so some leaves will get through there, but I doubt it's going to be enough to plug up 3 scuppers. And the deck sections, they'll be like 30-inch square sections. Those will be able to be lifted right out, so I can lift them out and check on things every once in a while. And I can just put a ladder up and reach in and pull anything out of the scupper if there's anything in there. So I think I'm good on that. So we have 24 inches in from either end of the framing. There's all kinds of other stuff, you know, attached to this, so I'm not measuring off of that stuff. 1 dead center, 24 inches from either side. So what I got to do is transfer the line down, and then I have this jig here and my handy dandy. This was like a $23 blade. I couldn't believe that. I thought there was 2 in there, but nope, just 1. So this, it's sitting on some, I'll have to clear that paint off, but this has the angle of the roof cut on it and the same angle on the top. So what I'm going to do is ride this on the top of this and plunge through. It's going to make it through the parapet, which is just this part. It's going to be below this wood right here. So it'll make it to the foam layer, which starts, this is the exact same thickness as this. And then once I cut that out, pull it out of there, I can take a sharp knife and cut the foam, and then it'll penetrate to the outside. Then when the scupper goes through, the scupper is, oh, I don't know, 8 inches long, maybe 10 inches long, so the scupper will be way out here. I'll trim that off next year when I put the gutter in and we do the siding and all that. So let's get some scupper holes cut. Okay, I got number 1 cut. A little harder than I thought, and I'm just, there's hundreds and hundreds of hornets and wasps. They are flying right into my face and making things real difficult for me, but I just keep killing them and tossing them over the edge, and more come wherever they're coming from. Okay, there is the hole. I made it a 1/4 inch taller than the scupper and a 1/4 inch wider. there is no added width, but there is added height. I have that reinforcing strip, 6-inch reinforcing strip that goes around, and then the rubber goes right on top of there. The roofing rubber goes right on top of there, and the thickness of the adhesive. Then this gets trimmed out. This hole gets cut into the rubber. I'll push the rubber back through, put the metal scupper through, nail it down with the copper nails. Then you prime it and treat it like flashing. There's flashing strips that I'll put on there, and it gets one going this way, one going that way, and that's the only way I know how to do it. They don't have any instructions for putting in scuppers on the RoofKit site, but Firestone and several others do have instructions. Firestone's is incredibly complicated, and I don't have the stuff for that. And another manufacturer, you know, they have like a screw plate for it. You put that, you know, like here and here, but theirs is plastic and this is metal, so you know, it's a different thing. So I'm going to do it the best I know how, which is a combination of how RoofKit tells you to do edge strips, which are metal, and the instructions from other companies as to how they put their scuppers in. So I got to sand this. I got a little fuzz where the blade dug in out here. I'm going to sand this, blow it off, and move on and do the next one. And then I'll get out and sand these edges just a little bit wherever it needs it, and then I'll get this perimeter on. But I don't know if I'll show the other ones, but in time lapse. No need to show any detail, because that's about it. There is, out here, this gets vertical and horizontal furring strips right up against the foam, and that's what the siding and the windows and doors are attached to. I may put some special stuff right around the scupper opening, but I don't know. I don't know if it'll need it or not. I got one bracket for the copper gutters, so I'm going to try to figure out, once I get a scupper through there, I'm going to try to figure out where my gutter hangers need to be. I have to supply some kind of a fastening area for those, so that'll all come later. I'll show you that as well. But for now, I just got to continue with these. I got to go get a scupper and pop it through there and check the fit. And I think I'm going to bring up a pry bar while I'm at it for pulling that plug out of there. The screw part worked pretty well. Yeah, see, it was attached to the foam, and that's what was holding things up. So it needed, you know, it was loose in there, but it wasn't going to come out with me just trying to pry it because of the foam. So that's it. I'm going to try a scupper in here and then move on to the other ones. All right, I got to hurry up while this AC is off. There we have it. So, like I said, this rubber will go down first. Hopefully I have enough room at the top. Looks like, oh yeah, just a little twisted, but looks like I got about 1/4 of an inch, and that rubber is fairly thick, reinforcing strip, but that is not. So I should have plenty of room, I'm hoping, to get this in. Don't really want to be messing around once the rubber is on here, enlarging the hole, but okay, so you can see that I'm going to have to put a good amount of nails through here to get this nice and flat, because you have the one strip, I believe it's 3 inches overlap, 3 inches on, 3 inches off. That will go like that, then another one like that, and then one like that. Yeah, should be real interesting. Okay, yeah, and the surface on this is real heavily etched. I don't know if they did that with sandpaper or with a chemical, but that's really nice. I won't have to do any work to it besides clean it and prime it before installing it. Okay, and these are the brackets. So next year I will cut the length of that scupper. I'll do it in place from up on a ladder. That's the only way I can really do it. And cut it so that it lands inside the gutter perfect. The trim on here is going to be out 3/4 plus an inch, so 1 3/4 inches. It's going to be out here. So that scupper is going to be, I don't know, 3 inches long, and then it'll drop into a 5-inch copper scupper or copper gutter. But there is no time for that this year, so the scupper's got to be in, and hopefully if they are draining on the house at all, I'll have to extend them a little bit with something, but I don't think so. I think any water that goes in there is going to, small amounts is just going to drip right out there, and larger amounts will go out a little bit further. I don't think any will go on the house. Don't want that at all. Okay, let me sand this and get going. Back from lunch, and the next thing I need to do is just go on these last joints. See, now like that one is pretty nice already, so this will go real quick. Go over all these joints and make sure they're flush and I don't want any of this stuff either, but it's not super important. But that just took seconds to do that. I just walked across it with a belt sander. So what I'll probably do is just plug in the belt sander and go across these joints up to here. I'll have to move the rubber again. This thing is just incredibly heavy, and I'm really afraid I'm going to rip it because it's not real thick. It's, what is it, 0.45 mil or something like that. It's really thin, which is kind of scary. You know, that's protecting this addition from water. But it is what it is. So just shift this over. Well, I can roll it, I guess. Shift this over, move all my junk over, and then sand this part. Then I gotta bring the compressor over from the shed. My nephews and I were using it yesterday, doing a little tune-up. They changed the oil on the Gator and filled the tires and stuff. So got to bring that back over, and then I'll blow it off, vacuum it off, and then get everything up here out of here except for the scissors. Roll this out, roll out 25 feet of it, cut that off, roll that back up, and get everything staged for tomorrow. That is after I put this perimeter down. And for that, that's 6 inches wide, which is the same width as the scupper flange, the flange that sits on the deck there, which is nice. I was worried about that. If this was narrower than that scupper flange, that would kind of suck. You know, nailing that thing down, there would be like a step in it and be more prone to ripping the rubber at some point. But the way it is, it should work. My only problem possible, I believe, is once I put this reinforcing strip down and the rubber, if it's too thick to get the scupper through. I allowed a 1/4 inch, but it was seemed kind of tight when I was pushing just the scupper through, and I can't really make the opening bigger right now easily. If it comes down to it, once the rubber's on, I can go across with a Sawzall with the blade pointing up and just work my way across and nibble out, you know, 1/8 of an inch or something if I really needed to. But it should fit kind of tight. Then when everything is said and done, the roof is on, the scuppers are through, there should be a gap around them where they come out through the foam, and that'll get foamed with great stuff, the minimally expanding stuff that you use around windows. Then the rain screen will be all nice and tight, the scuppers will be tight, and hopefully everything will live happily ever after. Okay, I'm going to sand this, clean it, put down that strip, cut this in half, and that should take me to the end of the day, and I'll be ready to install the rubber roof tomorrow. about to put down a reinforcing strip. I'm just going to brush in front of me, keep it fairly clean, but this is just screwed down. It has tick marks every 6 inches, but they're off center and they're the wrong way for rolling this out. They would be on the bottom side, so I don't know. It's I'm putting it on this way without the tick marks, and I'll just measure. So as I said earlier, the washers are supposed to go every 12 inches, but what I did was I marked where the edges of the scupper metal are, and I'm going to put them off to the side of that. The scupper will add nails into the reinforcing strip, and I don't want them washers underneath the metal. It's just going to kink, and water won't flow through it very well. So wherever I hit a scupper, I'm going to go on both sides of it, and I'm going to try to start off. Where are we? I think right here. I'll just find a screw. Right up. Oh, here goes. Right about here is a joist or a truss. So I'm going to go right into a truss, and then every other one will go into a truss. Or no, it won't. Some of them will go into a truss. All right, I better get going. Once I'm done with this, like I said, I'm going to roll half of that out, cut it in half so I can handle it more. Each half will be about 100 pounds. And then I'm going to get them out of the way and get this side really cleaned in the morning and start putting it on. Alrighty then. I have the perimeter reinforcing strip completely in. The deck is completely sanded. My scupper holes are cut. I don't have a scupper up here, but I'm going to have to test one out and see how well it goes. It goes in there. For some reason it was kind of tight. And that might be the seam on the scupper that's doing that. But it needs to go through there fairly easily because in the end it's going to have this rubber over the top of this strip and up the wall. Then the scupper goes in, so I don't want to be dicking with that later on. But it looks good. It's going to be a little more work dealing with these 3-inch screws. If I would have known that you had to use these things, I would have got some pancake head, like 1-inch screws or something. That way when I do the insulation on the inside, I could just easily push the insulation up into the screw. With a 3-inch screw, I can't do that. I'm going to have to nip the ends of them off or something. But that's future work. So what I need to do now is, I really need to cut this in half, but I don't know if I'm going to do that tonight. I think I might do that early in the morning and snap the line early in the morning, because I'm getting exhausted. I've been up and down this ladder. Working on the roof is just nuts. Going up and down the ladder, every little thing that you're missing, a driver tip or a chisel or whatnot. And if it's in the shed, I gotta go down, go across the street, come back, up the ladder again, and it just wears you out. So I have 2 days left to get this roof complete, and I think I can do it. I should, fingers crossed, be able to get this rubber part on tomorrow. What it entails is it'll be half of the rubber. Cut that in half, and you lay it out in full, and it'll be draped over the sides. Then you fold it back up. It'll have to be folded so that it doesn't go on top of this. Folded and then rolled back, and then you roll back about half of it, and then you roll on the adhesive, and then roll half of it onto it. And I got to stop at the edge again, and then come back and do this half, and then you broom it out with a broom like that, and then wait about 20 minutes and broom it again. Then you can do this stuff. And this, first you have to adhere it to this edge strip with multi-purpose adhesive, which is a contact cement, which is, going to be really putzy. Then attach it to the wall with that same latex adhesive that was used on the field here, but applying it to both sides like a contact adhesive. So it is, pretty involved. Yeah, maybe I'll only get half of it done tomorrow, but that's why I waited until I had 4 days to do it. The sanding and getting this stuff on. Didn't think it would take a whole day, but, well, actually it wasn't a whole day. I spent a good deal of the morning dealing with client issues on the day job, so I didn't get started until fairly late. So if you want to see the roof rubber going on, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon so you're notified when I post the video. And if you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. I generally answer all questions. And if you give us a like and or share the video, it helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.